and welcome to another edition of Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. Before I go any further, please subscribe if you haven't. Please tell your friends. Put it out there on social media for me. I'd really appreciate it. Tonight, I'm going to talk about an incident that occurred on June the 12th, 2001, in which other members of the Dirty White Boys and or affiliates and associates in the federal system, the federal Dirty White Boys, were extracted from our cells by the Special Operation Resort Task Force. That's the people that all dress in black, look like Ninja Turtles, staff members, that are trained to go pull an inmate from a cell and, do whatever, 4-point them, beat them up, whatever they feel like most of the time. Anyway, so at Leavenworth, this occurred at Leavenworth. I was at Leavenworth from 1998, as I said many times, to October 2002. During the time I was in Leavenworth, the SHU, the Hole, or the Special Housing Unit, which is a jail within the prison surrounded by 40-foot walls, was an absolute party, as was Leavenworth. The SHU was a lot of fun for a lot of people. If you were bidding and doing time and you were a partier, you were a substance abuser or whatever, it was a blast. And in some cases, I would say that it was better to go get, if you're just trying to get loaded, the SHU was the best because staff rarely bothered you. It would sometimes, but let me tell you how this went down. When you entered the SHU, you were given a staff strip search, all that good stuff. Sometimes it could take minutes, sometimes it could take hours, depending on the staff member, depending on the time of day. Some of them would give you, after the bed, trash bags. Now, what are the trash bags for? The trash bags were to make wine or hooch. The staff would give you trash bags. If the staff didn't give it to you, the orderlies were. And the way the orderlies were back then was you'd have a white orderly, black orderly, Mexican, other, whatever. And or you'd have sometimes white orderlies and gang orderlies. It just depended. The prisoners ran it. Anyway, so you'd go to the SHU, and it was nothing to keep a gallon or 2 or 3 of wine up. Every morning they give you 10 packets of sugars, 150. You can kind of get off and make a weak gallon of wine. I'm gonna call it wine, hooch. You know what I'm talking about, Pruno. 300 was the ideal. But anyway, in June of 2000. They made a range in the SHU, a gang range, and the gangs were the Bloods, California Bloods, and the Dirty White Boys, and or associates or affiliates of the Dirty White Boys. That went on for some months. Why a unit became like the Dirty White Boys / Blood unit, who knows? But that's the way it happened. And I frequented the SHU often back then for dirty urines, fights, assaults, drunks, stuff like that. There was on the range 7 or 8 cells of Dirty White Boys or affiliates. One of them was the guy by the name of Wilbur, who's from Tennessee. Wilbur's pretty popular in the federal system. Funny, could be a total jackass. But that day, Wilbur had a cellie by the name of Camp Snoopy. We dubbed him Camp Snoopy that day because he was from Minnesota and he was talking about the Mall of America, and he became Camp Snoopy. Anyway, on that morning, June the 12th, 2001, which was a Friday morning, we'd all decided to get drunk early. We all had a lot of wine up in our cells. And so we all came down early for whatever reason. And incidentally, it was the day after Timothy McVeigh was executed. So this had nothing to do with Timothy McVeigh. It just kind of fell the next day that it happened. And I just want to put that out there before I go forward. So we started the day off and we were having a blast. We were getting drunk. Now, what does having a blast and getting drunk in the SHU means? I was celled up with one of my brothers named Dusty. It just means telling stories, telling lies, whatever, laughing, drinking, just feeling good, having a good time. Now, when you have a range full of brothers or people or friends that even if you're not gang orientated and just a bunch of friends, and even sober sometimes, everybody can have a good time. And when you're drinking, you're banging on the door. Sometimes you're singing. A lot of my black friends, they like to rap all night. Just had to put that out there. But anyway, so, we would sing and we're yelling and screaming across the range. Kind of some disrespectful shit when you really think about it. But hey, that's how it was. And that's what was going on. And I did it a lot. And I had a blast at the time. Okay. That's just the truth. So the day started off on the June the 12th, 2001. We were just doing it. We were just drinking, having a great time. And all of a sudden, we were told that two of our brothers, Scott and Jeremy, had just arrived from the shoe. Now, on that day, Scott and Jeremy had made their bones. They earned their patch. They committed an assault, okay? They kicked somebody's ass. And we all knew it was going down. They did it that way. We were made members of the Dirty White Boys. We all knew it was going down. But what we did is we tried to get Jeremy and Scott on our range because for whatever reason, they put them on a different range. Actually, they didn't have them down as Dirty White Boys or affiliates. I don't know why. The reason we wanted them on the range, of course, we wanted to hear the story about how they whooped dude and all that other stuff, but we thought they had drugs. It was common at Leavenworth that if you knew you were going to the shoe, for whatever reason, that you packed your ass full of contraband. And, we all did heroin, and that's just what was going on. That's just a fact, okay? So we wanted heroin. We were all drunk and, yeah, come on, let's party. Oh, okay, we need Scott and Jeremy over here. So we start kicking on the doors. The unit range officer comes and said, what's going on, guys? I said, we want Jeremy and Scott over here. Well, they did it. They accommodated. Boom, just got them over there like that. There was an empty cell. Everything was good. And once we found out that they didn't have no drugs, it was a bummer, but they didn't have no drugs with them. I forgot to add that we got a kite or a note. Kite is a note, piece of paper from the compound. So somebody had got it from the compound, general population, had managed to get a kite to us in the secure special housing unit, which said that we had some drugs coming. We meaning me and my cellie at the time. So we knew we had a package coming, so we thought it was coming through Jeremy and Scott because, they had to do a hit. The hit was done, and we figured they just, kill two birds with one stone. They did not. Some hours later, we hear that a guy named Cub just arrived, and as a matter of fact, he had our drugs. Immediately, we started kicking on the doors, demanding that Cub be sent to our range. Now, the problem was there was no cell space. When we found out there was no cell space, and as soon as the officer left the range, our shot caller, I'm going to call him Gator Boy, see if I can stick with this, just saying that. I might accidentally say his first name. Gator Boy yelled, he was all the way at the end of the tier, yelled to all the way to the other end of the tier, hey, Wilbur, what's up, brother? He's from Tennessee. Hey, man, beat that motherfucker in your cell's ass. And sure enough, Wilbur dropped Cam Snoopy like that. Didn't even talk, just dropped him. And the reason was he wanted to beat him up to get him out of the cell so we can have cell space for Cub, who had the dope. And sure enough, Wilbur beats him up. All the staff come running because the guy was screaming, banging on the door, help. They drug him out of there. And we called the range officer, said, come here. I say we, our shot caller did, and said, we want Cub over here now. Range officer goes to the number one on duty. Number one goes to the shoe lieutenant and come back and said, hey, look, guys, tomorrow we'll move him over there. It's shift change. It's a little too late. We'll get your guy over there tomorrow. Tomorrow wasn't good enough. As this was occurring, here comes the dinner trays. Now, the trays that all the meals are served in are big, thick plastic trays, which are considered contraband if empty. And many knives have been made with those trays. They can be dangerous, and there is a reason that staff is supposed to collect them after dinner. Well, dinner was served, and we wanted our guy over there. So Kenny Gator Boy puts out the word. That's our shot caller. His name's Kenny. Hey, everybody, hold the trays. Holding the trays is a big deal because now you potentially have a weapon in your cell with the plastic tray. When somebody holds a tray, lieutenants are called in. Lieutenant doesn't work it out, captain's called in, and it goes up the chain of command until a decision is either made to leave the tray there or to do a cell extraction, meaning suit up the Special Operation Resort Task Force or team, crack that door open and go in there and get that tray at all cost. Well, the lieutenant on duty that night was a guy by the name of Sims. Lieutenant Sims comes in. He demanded, who's the shot caller? He pointed in that direction. He goes down there and says to our shot caller, what's up? And he says, we want Cub moved into Wilbur's cell. And the lieutenant says, the guy's already told you they're going to move him tomorrow. And our guy says, that's not good enough. Well, at that point, Sims says, you know what? F you to the shot caller, all of you. And by the way, Kenny, you're a bitch. And when you came in and you tried to go into protective custody, and I wouldn't let you. Now, of course, he did that because he was mad and he wanted to put a jacket on Kenny just because for everybody to get mad, maybe to get him assaulted, because that could happen. Nobody believed it because Sims was a loose cannon anyway. So Sims burns off, and a little while later, here comes the captain. And the captain with Sims and the captain. Sims comes back to the door of our shot caller and he says, what can we do? How can we resolve this? And Kenny says, we're not giving up the trays until you move Cub. Sims says, we are going to move him here, but it will not be in tomorrow. What else can we do to resolve this and get the trays now? On a whim, Kenny pops up and says, I want a pack of cigarettes. The cigarettes are contraband in the special housing unit. And the captain's right there, and Sim goes, okay. And Kenny said, for all my brothers, for every one of us. Sims, you know, I'm peeking through the hole so I can see downrange. Sims, you know, he's just madder than hell. But for whatever reason, this captain told them to resolve it, and they want those trays. You know, that's 16 trays total. It was 16 of us, or was there 14? I got the incident report right here. It became 14 others. So 7 cells were holding their trays, 14 guys in all. After Kenny said a pack of tobacco for everybody, he bit his jaw and he says, okay. And, you know, basically, and Kenny goes, by the way, I mean 1 carton for everybody. No, that's a carton of Bugler. So, you know, 12 packs and a carton of Bugler. Not a lot of money back then. I think it was $8 or $9, maybe $10 for a carton of Bugler. And Sims just blew his gasket right in front of the captain. Fuck you, bitch motherfucker. You ain't getting shit and all this other stuff. So as soon as that happens, everybody's yelling, suit up, suit up. Suit up means go get the SORT team. Tell them to suit up. We're going to fight them. There were guys in Leavenworth, guys that I knew well, and I'll put one of them out there because he was the baddest of all, that would get drunk, that would start their day and start drinking with the intent of fighting the SORT team. Now, when a SORT team rolls in the cell, there's 5 Ninja Turtles per inmate, prisoner, convict, whatever. So if there's 2 guys in a cell, 10 guys have to suit up like Ninja Turtles and run in the cell, do an extraction, pull you out. Trevor Bjorkman from Minneapolis, or no, he's not from Minneapolis, from Minnesota, Stillwater, as a matter of fact, used to get drunk just to fight the SORT team. And he was the best that's ever done it. I mean, I've seen him whip all of them, all 5 of guys, gasping for breath, bleeding, whatever. I mean, he was the best. Then they get him finally, and they take him and they 4-point him, and he'd be 4-pointed naked for 3 days, held down, where he had to pee and shit all over him. So he didn't care. He didn't give a damn. I've seen him beat the cops up, get 4-pointed the same day, within hours of getting off 4-point, go right back out there and do it again. He just loved being in the shoe and fighting those guys. That was just the thing he did. Anyway, that wasn't my thing, trust me. What was going on is the all the guys that were certified for the SORT team just came back from Indiana, or they were on their way back. Because McVeigh died in Indiana, was killed at Terre Haute in Indiana, they called a lot of people from the surrounding prison, Leavenworth being one of them. And the reason they had so many SORT teams members, because the theory is that all the guys in prison, the prisoners are going to end up rioting or being pissed off because these guys are being put to death. The truth is, I was there doing, 11 executions during the Trump administration, and nobody really cared. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying. Anyways, it's weird to think that somebody's getting put to death right next to you, but there's actually more prisoners in favor of the death penalty than not that I know. And that's a whole different issue. So let me back up. So all the SORT team from Leavenworth, where I was at and where this incident was taking place, were all traveling. They were tired. They've been on the road all day or whatever, and they're called in and told that there's 14 DWB'S and or associates drunk, ready to roll, and they have to be extracted from their cells. So it started on this incident report. Let me read this incident report to everybody. And one day, after the first year, I'll be able to read this, and you're going to see this on the screen because I got this editing stuff. I'm going to get this down. On June the 12th, 2001, at approximately 5:40 p.m., I ordered inmate Rosso to return his evening meal tray. Inmate Rosso refused my order, stating that the only way that I would get my tray back was to suit up a team and come and get them, his tray. It should be noted that inmate Rosso's actions were consistent with that of 14 other inmates housed on the range. It became necessary to contact off-duty staff in order to facilitate the forced cell teams necessary to quell the actions of inmate Rosso and the others. Who was this written by the way? I can't even tell the writing. Okay, so it actually started beginning. It was closer to 8 o'clock when the first cells were extracted. Wilbur was the first. He was by himself. Debatable how hard Wilbur went. Meaning, when you say go hard, guys that are getting attacked by the SWAT team, when the SWAT team's coming up, everybody go hard, motherfucker, go hard. And that means for you to fight your ass off. If you don't go hard and you're a gang member, or if you somehow refuse to fight the SWAT team, once they open that door and initiate contact, you can get hurt. You can get hurt. So make no mistakes about it. If somebody's ducks, it's called duck and rec, avoiding the issue. Rec meaning recreation, avoiding the issue is what I'm saying. If somebody's caught doing that, especially if you're ganged or if you're in a serious prison with politics, even if you're not in a gang, you could have big problems. Anyway, Wilbur went first, and I forgot who was followed by it, but the one that's relevant to this is Weasel and Head. Weasel and Head were cellies, and the closest. When you're in a big gang or something, you're always close with one guy most of the time. Weasel and Head were frickin' frack. Well, they had gas. They were putting tear gas in our cells. They'd go up to the cell door, and they'd squirt it through and gas you out, get you where you couldn't breathe. And they also had they didn't have the percussion grenades that day, but they had shotguns. It'd shoot you. Well, we're sitting there, every 30 minutes, 45 minutes, another cell extraction would take place. You hear a ruckus, you'd hear everybody screaming, yelling, then you're ooh, 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 and then you'd hear them drag the guys out of the cell. Well, when Head and Weasel happened, you heard the guns go pop, pop. Guns were going off, and all of a sudden, they were dragging him out, and guys were yelling, "Weasel's dead! Weasel's dead, man! Weasel's dead!" Well, what happened was they opened the bean hole. So they opened the bean hole. They came in, boom! They shot him, hit Weasel in the chest. He went out, and he was down. So the guys that were watching out the back windows, there's little windows you can see in the shoe. We're all saying that Weasel was non-responsive. So we're about 2 or 3 cells from being extracted with the thought in our mind that they just killed one of our people. So there was a lot of fear. There was anger. It was like, oh, fuck, this is real. And we're drunk. We're really drunk. I think me and my cellie had 2 gallons of wine between us that was actually really strong. Yeah, we were fucked up. So anyway, I know Dago Joe was in his cellie. You had Scott and Jeremy, poor bastards. They never even got drunk. They just made their bones that day. They earned their patch, went on a mission, came in sober's day, and they had to go fight a battle that wasn't even theirs. It's part of being in a gang, but that's what happened. They got their asses beat too. So now it comes to me and my cellie, Dusty. We had been listening to everybody, and we were coming up with the plan of attack, and our mission was to get out of the cell. Once they come in the cell, they can do whatever they want to. Nobody can see, no cameras. They have a recorder. They have a guy recording everything for civil rights reasons, but they don't work, and they just block out. If they do something bad or you get killed, you're never going to see video of that. So we had come up with the idea to come out of the cells, one go this way and one go this way, because the SWAT team, when they come in your cell, one comes from this side and one comes from this side. 5 and 5 on each side. One of them rolls to get one guy, they target one guy, the other one's target another guy. That's how it works. And it's in a little cell and it gets crowded. It's vicious. So, unbeknownst to me at the time, I had down on my medical records that I had asthma. They couldn't gas me. Now, what they could do is shoot us, and they just effectively shot Weasel in the chest and we thought killed him. So we had to make sure we blocked that beanhole up. So what we did is we took the mattresses and made it to where they couldn't point anything. We wrapped them up. We had both mattresses stuffed so they couldn't get nothing in the bean slot to shoot at us. They couldn't gas us, and we didn't know why. I found out later because I had asthma, and they're not allowed to gas you if you have asthma. So All I remember is a guy named Captain Woods. Captain Woods was a big, tall, black guy, really, really, really dark skin. Now it's dark out on the ranges. They shut lights off for whatever reasons before they come in, and all you can see is the whites of his eyes. Okay, and he looked scared to freaking death. You know, he's like, "All right, now you guys come out," and you got a guy behind him by the name of Reed, and he's going, "Lay down." He's telling us lay down. Like, in other words, slap the walls and make a lot of noise, but we're not going to hurt you. And you guys just lay down and we'll take you out calmly. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. That was never going to happen. Okay, so here's what goes down. Me and Dusty are sitting at the door. I had made a knife, by the way, and me and my cellie almost got in a fight because he didn't have a life sentence, I did, and he thought I was going to try to kill one of them. I was just drunk. I probably would have used it, to be honest, at that time. That's where my head was at. But I didn't. He broke it, whatever. And he's by far stronger than me, by far the biggest of us, buffest, whatever you want to say. He definitely was a stronger one. Therefore, he was going out the door first, even though I tried to say, let me go, whatever. He went first. So what happened was Captain Woods was so scared because when they came to the door and he was trying to talk, we're going, come on, motherfucker, come on, and all that other stuff. I guess he was intimidated somewhat. That he looked to this guy and he looked to this guy, but he didn't give a signal to say, okay, you go first or you go first. So the doors crack, automatic doors, and out we come. They never even moved forward in our cell. They weren't expecting us to come out. Dusty jumped out and leaped like a freaking buck, like a male deer, and headbutted the first guy who had a face shield on. Somehow knocked it all up and it busted his chin. Knocked out a tooth. The guy's name was Officer Reed. Dusty laid him out, and all 5 Ninja Turtles fall like dominoes. And everybody's laughing their ass off. Now, let me back up. You got odd side of the tier, even side of the tier, and a wall in the middle. There's cracks in the door. So everybody on this side, on the even side we are, they can see us, pretty much see us out their door. And believe me, everybody's eyes are glued to that incident, what's going on out there. This is wreck for everybody. People love this shit in the hole. They wait for, this is a show in there. Well, Dusty gets out, knocks him, and falls down with them. I then come out for who knows what, and it was like, and the first officer just slammed me down. I didn't even get to do nothing. Just laid me out. And the next thing I know, I woke up hogtied in the air, being carried in the air, singing Miss Jackson. They knocked, he choked me till I went unconscious when I was on the floor, hog-tied me, and when I came up, I was singing, sorry, Miss Jackson, I am for real. I don't know why. I have no idea why I was singing Miss Jackson, but that's what happened. So they bring us out to the wreck cages in the middle of the night, and our cell extraction was done. It was closer to midnight. I'm not really sure. Laid me out, and left me hogtied for a while, and out a long time. And I had back surgery, and they really screwed up my back on this. We caused it, but my back was in pain for a long time afterwards. Anyway, what they did after that was really, really stupid. They didn't have no place to put us. They were overcrowded as it was. So all they did was they took all of us out of the cells, took the trays, and then they took all of our property, put it in bags. Then they put 2 mattresses on the floor and 1 sheet apiece and threw us back in the same cells together with the same cellie. Now, not only did they put us back in the same, what they did was they put us in ambulatory restraints. That means a belly chain with handcuffs fastened to the belly chain and feet restraints. Then put us back into the cell. So they left us like that for 3 days. Every time we had to go to the bathroom, number 2, one of us would have to sit on the toilet, the other one had to sit behind and push the button and flush it because we're in handcuffs. We can't move. Wiping, that's all. Anyway, they gave us 1 roll of toilet paper. They gave us no blankets, 1 sheet. And by the way, in the summertime in the shoe, there's central heating and air. The air's always freezing. It's always cold in the summer and warm in the winter in those places. And that's how they left us, man. They left us like that for 3 days. And yeah, that was pure hell. I'd like to say that I learned my lesson over it. I didn't. There was some incidents that I'll be talking about later that came right behind it. But yeah, that's what happened. So that's a little bit of Leavenworth history there. And that occurred June the 12th, 2001. Well, that was a prison story for you. I hope you dug it.